Alrighty, how's it going, y'all? Welcome to episode number 4 of the Athlete Factors podcast. I'm here with my good friend Wade Rice. Wade, how we doing today?
Doing well, sir. I'm excited to be on my first podcast. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Nice. So we formally met probably at church, long time ago.
I was good friends with Lauren. You
Yeah,
were just a little
my
brother.
brother.
Remember, you were just a little brother. And then
Yeah.
when we got to college is when you and I started hanging out a little bit, or at least studying together anyways.
Yep. Had a few classes together. Shout out to Dr. Cromit.
Dr. Cromit, I probably cheated off you a couple times. Who knows? I couldn't get those good grades on my own.
Yeah, right. Who's the PT here?
Look, I got my Wikipedia doctorate. I did everything on Wikipedia. So it was way cheaper than textbooks. And I'm not even lying. My first semester in PT school, I bought every single book. I spent $1,700 on books. Opened like 2 of them.
Wow.
And so then I realized I'm going to try Wikipedia. Didn't buy a single book the rest of my PT career. Did everything on Wikipedia. Graduated PT school with a 3.97.
Nice.
Yeah. So Wikipedia is pretty good.
Shoot, man. I wish I had known that. That's about what I finished in grad school, and I had to read all my textbooks.
Well, that's probably because you are better than me. So.
Well, that means a lot. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your athletic background, your academic background, and kind of what you're doing now?
Sure. So my athletic background, I'm not real sure that's anything to write home about. I mean, I was a good athlete in my small town, but that's not saying much. I was a mediocre fish in a small pond. I worked hard anyways, and then I had, a handful of college scholarships for basketball in Ohio, but I chose to walk on at Cedarville for a couple reasons. One, I knew that I could find a good wife at Cedarville, and 2, I grew up going to those games. Can you hear my dog barking?
Just a little bit.
Sorry. So went to Cedarville. I went there to play basketball in the freshman year. I knew I was going to sit the bench the entire time of freshman year. On our exit meeting, coaches finally gave me the validation that, Wade, you're going to be a contributor next year. I was really excited. Stepped on the court, tore my ACL right after the meeting. Rehabbed my entire sophomore year. And then junior year, first practice, I completely ruptured my hamstring.
Wow.
Doctors said we could repair it or you could just stop. And I just said, yeah, I'm just going to stop. So, my basketball career is definitely nothing to write home about, but I'm very grateful of that path because I was majoring in accounting because I thought I wanted to be in the FBI. It was always a dream of mine watching Wesley Snipes movies. So I was like, I'm going to be in the FBI, major in accounting. Tore my ACL, went to rehab, thought this is a pretty good gig. So switched my major, and there we go. So went to University of Dayton, graduated in 2012, and now I'm a facility manager at a PT clinic in Dayton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So your injury definitely played a role in
It was the role of getting me. I mean, I'd never heard of PT. I had no concept of physical therapy, and it wasn't until my first physical therapy appointment and I was like, well, what is this? My mom just took me. So I was like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
In my freshman year of college, and I was like, dude, this is pretty sweet. I said, you get paid to do this? And the guy's like, yeah. Immediately went back and changed my major to exercise science. Well, no, I changed my major to biology. Went to one class, there's God, no. So I switched to exercise science. much smarter, able to get a much higher GPA. So yeah, I mean, my injury was a blessing, huge blessing in disguise. So
yeah, I find that to be a lot more common with people who take this profession seriously. Like that, the only reason that I'm still doing this and not just coaching cross country is because I hurt my back my junior year, and I was forced to learn stuff that I didn't think I needed to know. But
right.
yeah, the whole reason I'm doing athlete factors is because I realized, holy cow, there's all these different like disciplines and professions that are sharing almost all the same information.
Yep.
To some degree.
Yeah.
And if I don't know as much as possible about athletic training and rehab and PT and sports psych and sport nutrition, then hey Jax, you good? Sorry about that. Then I'm not going to be as effective as possible, you know? So I can't replace any of those professions, but for a while I was like, I need to be able to do all of this because I don't trust anybody else.
Yep.
And the more I learned, the more I found other people that obviously I can trust. And so that kind of changed my mind a little bit, which is good. But yeah. So what gets you up in the morning?
Yeah. So to be honest, my routine every day is what I look forward to the most. And I'm going to say my routine in my life is my greatest strength, but it also is my greatest weakness. So what I mean by that is I thrive in a very controlled environment, meaning I go to bed at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up at the same time. I go to work 5 days a week. My patients can completely rely that I'm going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
My wife completely relies on me coming home, and she knows it. And the people I train with, they know I'm going to be there. So what I like most and what really gets me up is I know my routine, and I thrive in that. And so my greatest strength is my patients can rely on me, my training partners can rely on me, my wife, my kids can rely on me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way that's my biggest weakness is I don't deviate well. Okay. Have you ever seen the movie where the leaf falls in the middle of the ants and the ants don't know what to do and they can't go around?
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I am not a flexible person and I don't like it. But I'll tell you what, I get things done within my routine. So what gets me up in the morning is every day I know what I'm doing, and I love treating patients. I love training with my workout clients, and I love hanging out with my kids and my wife. Those three things right there, that's what gets me up. And I know that's supposed to be every day. But throw a wrench in there, tell you what, man, it's screwed up. So my whole goal in life, Kevin, is to be more like a dog when it comes to my training. And what I mean by that is, so I love my patients, don't get me wrong, but my main aspect of my favorite part of the day is when I go train, when I get to go work out and work on myself. And my whole goal right now with my training is, so my dog, 4-year-old golden retriever, he'll be on the back deck just laying there, passed out, and he'll catch a whiff of something, and he's up and gone. He doesn't stand up and foam roll. He doesn't stand up
No
and stretch.
stretching. Yep.
He doesn't stand up and shake his legs. I mean, he's up and gone.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do with my training, is to be the person who doesn't have to sit there and stretch, doesn't have to sit there and foam roll before I go perform, because quite frankly, I don't have time. And then the other day, I'm out messing in the yard, and my 1-year-old was in the barn, and my 3-year-old were in the barn, and we just got a new 10-week-old puppy. And I'm doing something, sitting on the ground doing something, and I heard screaming coming from the barn. And I was in the barn in a second. I didn't pull anything. I didn't limp back to I didn't pull it. I felt fine. And so many of my friends at 34, when they do some unanticipated sudden movement, oftentimes they're like, "Oh, my
they're
back."
feeling it. Yeah.
Oh, my hamstring hurts. And
Yeah.
so that's another thing that gets me up for the day is I can't wait to work out today. I can't wait to train some way to make me be more like my lazy dog who doesn't do any foam rolling, doesn't do any stretching, but that sucker can perform anytime he's asked to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those
Probably.
are the three things that get me up every day.
Yeah.
Patience, training, and my family.
Probably does a little up dog, down dog, right? When it wakes up, big
When it
yawn.
wakes up, that's it.
And like, that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
One for the day, and that's it.
One's all you need.
And he's good. He takes six more naps throughout the day. Other than that, he's good.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I've thought about that concept quite a bit. I forgot who I first heard it from, but it was somebody talking about if you have to do all of this prep work, warming up, rolling out, releasing adhesions and activating all this stuff just so that you can like do a sub max effort deadlift without feeling like crap the next day, then maybe you're not training the right things for you at that point. And I was like,
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe,
well, yeah, he was
maybe.
being nice. He was being nice. So, but like that concept really resonated with me because I was like, man, I should be able to just, do a more than my body weight on the bar. I should just be able to deadlift that at any point without having to warm up and feel fine. Like
you should be able to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go do that.
Yeah, yeah, or like sprint without. I mean, obviously, you're probably going to be like your best if you're prepping a little bit, but you should be able to do it without feeling like you're a 90-year-old.
Yes, and I completely agree with you 100%. And that really changed it. Back in the day, I thought, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, and I'm going to perform great. Now that I'm 34, I literally tie my shoes up, I walk to the court, I swing my arms around a little bit, I bounce the ball hard a couple times.
You're balling.
I go, all right, let's play. And the thing about it is, I'm playing against kids who play in college, and I'm keeping up with them.
Yeah.
And it's because right now it's like I understand my training. Where back in the day I had no idea. But I love patients who are like, yeah. I say, what are you doing for your prep work for this marathon you're coming up? Oh, I took my foam roller. I'm gonna foam. Yeah, she's gonna foam roll for 30 minutes before she runs a half marathon. I didn't even try to explain the science, but yeah, foam rolling for 30 minutes before you run a marathon.
That's a workout.
Whatever. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck. So I agree. I agree that we should be able to live life and do, relatively high intensity things throughout the day without hurting ourselves. Now, if we're going to go try to perform our best, okay, do some prep work, get the nervous system involved, get the movement pattern. Like if I'm pulling one day, if I'm going to do some heavy pulls, I'm going to do some pretty intense kettlebell swings. Okay, to get everything. But I'm not just going to walk in there and pull 315. I'm going to build up to it, obviously. So I don't want people to think that I'm just walking in and pulling through. No, I'm taking my time on that stuff. I'm being intelligent.
Right. You're not putting your 1 rep max on the bar and walking in cold. And
right. But I'm not.
For sure.
I'm not making my prep workout 30 minutes long anymore. So I want to be like my dog, Kevin. I want to be like my dog.
I love that answer. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So, this conversation really, I guess, came up from a post that I threw up on Facebook that you commented on, just asking about kind of where I think I fit in kind of in the rehab process.
Yeah.
I'm doing this this community forum next week with my buddy Ambrose, and we're talking about how to develop individualized models for performance training, for rehab, for sport nutrition, for building, an athletic mindset. So thank you so much for commenting, because now here we are having this conversation. But
hey, it worked. By the way, I threw it out there going, and I almost added at the bottom, hey, if you want me to be on a podcast, I will. But I was like, no, I'm going to throw this feeler out there and see if he takes the bait. And he did. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that worked.
Well, it's so funny because I already have this list of names of people that I want to, have on this podcast. And you were at the bottom, but you were on the list. So
did you go in alphabetical order? If you went in
No.
alphabetical order, my name should be at the bottom. So I'm okay with that.
No, it was just the first day I sat down to write some names, I think I got like 10. And then every couple days when I'd think of a name, I would just add it to the list. And then I just keep on adding. And like after this conversation, I just thought of another dude from Cedarville, Stort Grist, who's a PT. So
Well, I'm not sure why you're thinking of other guys while you're talking to me.
Other physical therapists. Sorry.
Whatever. No, I think that's. I didn't know he was a PT. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I think he's a PT. I could be wrong. So I'll have to dig in and figure that out. So
yeah.
So that whole initiating factor, I guess, is bringing us to the primary topic of discussion. So what are some things within the field of physical therapy that are things that you like, and what are some things that you don't like?
Yeah. So I'm going to approach this from kind of like the problems I have with healthcare from a PT's perspective.
Okay, perfect.
And a lot of that all stems from just the lack of education from people I have. Do you know how many times people ask me, did you go to school for this? Yeah, I went to school for this.
So you tell them, though, in all fairness, you tell them you went to Wikipedia University?
No, I don't. No, I go, yeah, I did go to school for this. They go, was it just like a 2-year school out of high school?
Wow.
No, and I said, I went to 4 years of undergrad and then 3 years of grad school. And they go, oh, man, so do you have your PhD? And I just say, something like that. I don't tell people I might, because I don't have a PhD. Right. But try to explain some of the difference. So I just go, something like that, whatever. So it all, most of the problems I have with healthcare stem from the lack of education that people have about PT. And I don't know whose fault that is, but the main problem I have with the model is, so someone gets injured. So their first initial thing is to rest. So they rest. Well, they don't get any better. So then they go to the doctor. The doctor prescribes them medicine and rest. He gives them naproxen and Flexeril and rest. So they don't get any better. So they go back to the doctor. And then they come to us, 12 to 16 weeks later on average, they're coming to me. And during that time, that quote unquote pulled muscle, it's not just laying there by itself. All that acetylcholine is pumping into that muscle. It's spilling over, recruiting other muscles. So the original injury may have been a muscle, but now it's an entire region infecting an entire body segment, affecting the entire movement pattern. And the people can't even tell me what happened in the beginning. So the first thing I don't like is just the basic lack of knowledge. And I'm not saying it's the consumer's fault. I'm saying it's my fault as a PT. These people need to be aware, hey, I have a pulled muscle. I should go to a PT or go to a chiro. I like chiros. I think what they've done with their model is great. And, I'm not one of these PTs who have this territorial demonization of chiros. I think they're great. I think they serve a purpose. There are good chiros. There are bad chiros. There are good PTs. There are bad PTs.
For sure.
So I would really appreciate if the PT model could be more like the chiro model and people thought of us. I pulled my back. I'm going to go to a PT. Because they're like, well, I need to see a doctor first. No, you don't, because we know the red flags. We know the screening. Yeah, we can't send for an X-ray and MRI, but we can send you back to your PCP if it's something we can't handle. So people just, and especially with the way that the low premium and high deductibles are going, go to the doctor, rest, go back to the doctor. There's 2 copays. There's more money spent there than just going straight to a PT. So the first problem I have is just the basic model, the way that patients come to us. It's circuitous and it's a waste of money. So
it's a $10 word.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
And if it's placed on a triple word score, it's going to be more. So the next thing for PT that I don't really like, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time if there's any physical therapist assistants listening to this, because I'm not trying to demonize them. I think they do a great job. I've worked with some really good assistants who have taught me a lot. But me as a consumer / patient, if I'm going to go to a place, I want to see the PT. Okay. I want to see the person who studied Wikipedia for 3 years, in grad school. So I don't necessarily love the PT versus PTA model. That's why I really like where I'm at right now, which is Athletico, which is a PT driven model, which is they employ PTs. And so I do my evals and I do my follow-ups. And again, I'm not trying to demonize the PTAs, but with the patients I want to work with, I feel like a PT driven model could be more effective. But in this day and age, you're going to probably see a PT. If you go there for 12 visits, you're probably going to see PT at least 6 of them. And
wow,
so for a lot of people that could suffice and work out, but I've just worked in that system too long to know that, you know what, I want to treat my own patients the entire time, more continuity of care with myself. And I feel like the outcomes will be more satisfactory across the board. So,
right.
So that's the second thing that I'm struggling with PT. And then the third thing, there's a lot of bad PTs out there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know how many times, Kevin, that I will inherit a patient from somebody else, whether they went on maternity leave or they got a new job, and they're in there for back pain or knee pain. And I'll look on the chart and it says hamstring stretches. And so I'll ask the patient, I'll go, hey, get a little brief history, and they'll talk about how tight their hamstrings are. And I say, okay, well, let me see bend forward and touch your toes. And they put their palms on the floor and their nose to their knees. I'm like, all right. So multi-segmental flexion.
Stretching.
Okay, so let me see you do a straight leg raise. And so then they lay on their back and they pull their knee up to their nose. I go, so you really think you need to stretch? And they're like, well, I mean, that's what my therapist had me do. And it's just like, and Kevin, here's the thing. I'm talking like a lot of therapists don't understand that. You don't understand. There's a difference between neural drive and neural tension. That's not tightness. And so I'm working with PTs who probably actually read a textbook in PT school and who don't understand the difference. And so there are a lot of bad PTs. And, I tell people, hey, if you go to a physical therapist, ask them if they treat their family. And if they won't even treat their own family, don't have them treat you. Because I work with a lot of therapists who are like, oh, I don't want to treat my family. What if something happens? Me, I want to be the only therapist treating my family because I know what's going to happen. They're going to get better, and they're not going to be stretching muscles they don't need to. So that's my other third thing. And I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal by mudslinging. I just have noticed a lot. There's a lot of PTs they don't understand because they don't understand kinesiology and they don't understand strength and conditioning. And I feel like if you understand kinesiology and strength and conditioning, you'll understand the difference between neural drive and tightness.
So along those lines, one of the things that Ambrose taught me really early on was, if you have an issue like that where they're complaining of what they assume is hamstring tightness, and you're not doing these basic assessments, it takes 2 seconds to figure out if their hamstrings are sending a signal to their brain because they're long and inhibited, or they're sending a signal to the brain because they're short and overly facilitated. It takes 2 seconds to figure that out. And so if you go into any sort of assessment just thinking like, okay, if they're coming to me, and I'm not a physical therapist, so I can't diagnose, right? I can't diagnose an injury. I can't do any of that. What I can do is I can assess and evaluate movement patterns and ranges of motion. So that's all I do. I stay within my scope of practice. But if I see them moving incorrectly, then that's my wheelhouse. That's where I can fix them within that realm. So yeah, that blows my mind. But at the same time,
it happens all the time. Here's the thing: like, you are more passionate about your field, and I would trust to go to you than a lot of these therapists. A lot of these therapists don't understand movement. They go to PT school. Look, PT school taught me how to not to kill somebody. Okay, that's a PT school. PT school taught me, here's the origin, here's the insertion, here's what the muscle does, but it did not teach me applied biomechanics like it needs to.
Nothing in 3 dimensions. Nothing in
like,
live motion. Yeah.
No, like for instance, I see so many PTs, they test the glute med by sine-lined hip abduction. And most likely the PT I'm seeing is probably going to test their TFL and not even their glute med. There's no rotation in it. And they're like, oh, yep, you have a 5 out of 5. Your problem's not your glute med. Well, how about you do like an inline lunge or a Bulgarian split squat to see how the applied biomechanics of that muscle is working to see if it's a problem or not. But so many times I just see this stuff and I'm just like, so as a therapist, I do more movement-based stuff anyways. Like, yes, I can dry needle. Yes, I can do manipulation. Yes, I can do massage. So yeah, I can calm the tissue down more than you can. But movement-wise, you and I are going to do the exact same stuff. And you know what? Get people better faster than most PTs. So I applaud you, and I trust. And again, I know from going to Cedarville with you, I know you know your stuff. So I would trust you assessing anyone's movement. So
yeah, that's the podcast I just did with Ambrose. That was our topic, was kinetic assessments. Like, if you're not doing like passive assessments to see how their body's just holding tension or not holding tension, and then taking the next step and doing movement assessments so that you're actually watching them move, then how do you know what's really active and not active and working and not working? Like, okay, this might sound weird because other people probably aren't going to understand, but what's your favorite assessment tool? Like, what's your favorite?
The SFMA, the Selective Functional Movement Assessment, is my tool.
Greg Cook.
Yes, I'm certified in it. And I'll tell you what, man, like, it has cleaned up all of my evals to where, a lot of times therapists get bogged down in paperwork. I can do an eval in 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like, understand, here's where we need to go. Here's the problem. If someone comes in, their toe hurts, but their hair's on fire, I'm going to put the fire out first. And the SFMA does that for me. And I went to the course, and I didn't just go to the course. I went to the course and I learned it. And man, I came home and I just did it all the time. And I still do it all the time. So I tell all therapists, like, if you're going to work an orthopedic outpatient, you need to know the SFMA because it will clear up. Back in the day, for instance, cervical flexion. I used to put the goniometer, where the lights were. Okay, go into flexion. But it's, okay, congratulations. But now I know, okay, is it the OA joint? Is upper cervical, lower cervical? Where's the rotation? All this, all because the SFMA is like, oh, wait, here's a tool. Use it. And I'll tell you what, that's my favorite thing. I use it on everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's so quick and it's so clean. So that's my favorite tool.
Yeah, no, I learned a ton from reading, what was it? Athletic Body Imbalance, and learning a little bit about functional movement screen. Like, that changed the way that I started to think about stuff like this. So, with my assessments, I do, and a lot of this I learned from Ambrose, just like testing hamstring length while they're laying down. Thomas test is like probably one of my favorites, just because most of the time I'm dealing with runners, and so it's like they all have tight hip flexors, or they all have, like, it's either their psoas or it's rectus femoris. And so as soon as I know what's going on there, like they're either coming to me in knee pain or hip pain or back pain. And like I do that. And then it's like, oh, here's your issue right here. Let's address this.
Those are both in the SFMA.
Oh, sweet. Perfect.
The active straight leg raise, you want to get to 80 degrees for a guy, 90 degrees for a woman actively. And then the Thomas test, they break it out into anterior tightness, lateral tightness, and anterior lateral tightness. Gotcha. So they break out into all three muscle groups up there. But yeah, I mean, those are in the SFMA. So
nice. So I do a couple other like table assessments. I'm looking at ankle range of motion and just making sure their joints are lining up while they're just laying there, leg length, stuff like that. And then I watch them squat with their shoes off. I want to see what their arches are doing. I want to see, if on two legs, their knees are tracking in line with their toes. And then I'll do like a split squat, and then I'll do a single leg squat. I do some other stuff, but those are for me, just because of the population that I'm working with, I'm not doing a whole lot with overhead athletes. Some swimmers here and there who are triathletes, but for the most part, it's like lower body issues. So the single leg squat is like, it tells me so much, just because I mean, most of the athletes, adult athletes that I work with who are endurance runners or triathletes, don't do any lower body strength and conditioning because they assume they don't need to because of all the exercises that they're doing, right? They're running every day. They're cycling every day. They're swimming every day. They don't have time to lift weights with their lower body. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And they all have like crazy medial knee deviation. Their knees are like, their tibia is in line with their like their center line, their midline. And then their hips are like way off in the other room. It's absolutely insane. And they're like, their femurs like crazy internally rotating. And it's just, but it gives me really good information. And then from there, I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Let's start fixing these issues. So,
well, yeah, no, this sounds a lot like the SFMA. Like everything you said isn't, except the single leg squat's not in there, but it sounds like, sounds like very similar.
So yeah, that kind of gets into a little bit of where I consider myself part of the rehab process. If I can catch these things before an injury happens, then, ideally the injury doesn't happen. Fingers crossed.
Ideally, you put me out of a job.
Exactly.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm okay with that because I got into therapy for the betterment of human performance, not to get some fat person to walk from their chair to the refrigerator. But that's what I do 50% of my day.
Hey, that's job security in America, man.
I know, but you know what? You guys are the first line of defense, and I wish that would be success. I wish everyone was as knowledgeable as you were about it, because I'd be out of a job and I'd be okay with that.
Well, I can only, in theory, prevent overuse injuries. I can't do anything for contact injuries, so we got to keep you around for something.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
What are some of the things that you like about, I mean, I guess you kind of already covered some of that, but what are the things that you really like about PT and rehab?
Yeah, so there's not been, how some people get a case of like the Sunday nights when they're like, I got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm not going to lie. There hasn't been a single day of now I'm going on 8 years now, that I've woken up and been like, I got to go to work. This sucks. Like, I love it because I don't know if I can really articulate why I like it so much. I think part of it is because I'm my own boss and I have so much autonomy, and it's me and this patient. But I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagram. I'm a 3. What that means is I'm a big time people person. Okay. So sometime you need to look up the Enneagram.
All right.
Okay. It's really, 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 really interesting. It says like who you are, who you best work with. It gives it's very insightful. But anyways,
gotcha.
I really enjoy making relationships with people, and I'm not sure there's much greater relationship than when you are making someone's life better.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I make everyone's life better? Absolutely not. I make some people's life better. And so I think that's why, because I get every day to make meaningful relationships with people. And for some reason, I just find that very fulfilling.
Yeah.
All the while, I don't have a boss looking over my shoulder telling me what to do. Like, I'm doing my own thing with my own people. I can tell them to go home whenever I want. Oh, you're done today. Have a good day. They're not going to argue with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I really, really like. Now, also the other thing is I love learning about the human body. I think it's the greatest thing ever created. And I am able to learn from patients on stuff to do for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I see what corrective exercise work on patients. I do them for myself and vice versa. I see it works for myself. So it makes me a better person with the relationships I develop, but it also makes me perform as a better human being because it keeps me on my toes, makes me stay sharp, and it makes me want to perform and keep in shape, to be honest. So I love PT. It's great.
Yeah, there's like the constant challenge because even though you might be seeing similar injuries or similar issues, every single person is different.
Yep.
And what works for one person may not work for another person who has the exact same, injury. So the constant challenge is I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, because during those 45 minutes with you, sure, they may do similar things, but the other 23 hours and 15 minutes they're on their own, they're doing different things than the other person who has that same injury. So, people are always like me, hey, have you seen this injury before? Well, yeah, I have. Well, okay, so how long is it going to take me to get better? I don't know. It'll get there when it gets there.
As long as it takes. Yeah.
As long as until it's better.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I like to ask them, how long have you been injured?
Oh, yeah, dude, and oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, people don't understand that pain is the last thing to show up. Like, I started hurting 6 months ago. Well, you've had a problem for 5 years.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm sorry, it's going to take a while. And that's going back. That's one of the jokes of the PT model that I think is, hey, go to therapy 2 times a week for 4 weeks. Come back if you're not any better. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm not. I work at Athletico physical therapy, not Jesus Christ physical therapy.
Exactly.
All right? I'm not performing miracles in 4 weeks.
No healing hands.
Yeah, that's one of the jokes about PT is when the doc, they only told me to come 2 times a week for 4 weeks. Meanwhile, this person came and stand up from the toilet by themselves, and I'm supposed to get out of pain 4 weeks. So you're exactly right when you say, well, how long have you been in pain? And because people don't understand, it's compounded. You're in pain for 6 weeks. It's going to take a while. It's going to take 6 months to get rid of that pain perfectly.
For sure.
So,
yeah. Sweet. Yeah, that cracks me up because people want to know. They're like, how long is this, an 8-week thing? Can we do this in 4 weeks? What if I only come once a week?
Yes, I promise. I promise I'll do my exercises at home.
Yeah,
sure.
Or you better.
How long is this going to take, and how much is this going to cost? I know right then. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, you're probably not for me.
Yeah, you're not getting any better, but I'll take your money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll move you an inch down the road.
Yeah.
For sure. I'll aim you in the right direction.
Yeah.
If you keep doing your homework, you're probably going to feel a little better.
Yep.
But you're probably not going to do your homework if you're like worried about coming to see me once a week.
They never do their homework. I love it. I'm like, hey, how are your home exercises going? Oh, they're going well. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's lay down and do the pelvic tilts. Well, how do I do that? Well, that's number 1 on your exercise. Oh, well, show me again. Okay. Yeah. You haven't been doing your exercises.
Which muscle is the pelvis again?
Yeah, exactly. So patients, they're all the same everywhere. They act the exact same.
God love them.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for other PTs or to athletes or the general public?
Sure. So my first piece of advice to athletes, I'll start with athletes first, is I would tell every athlete, as I do tell every athlete that I train, who's serious, I say, go read The Sports Gene. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
Because that book shed so much light about intentional, deliberate training that I didn't know about. And so as I'm reading that book, I'm like, man, I wish I would have known about this in the 7th, 8th grade, high school. Because, Kevin, I played basketball every day of my life. I went out there and shot an hour to an hour and a half a day in my driveway every day from 7th grade all the way through college. But do you know, for the hour to the hour and a half I was shooting hoops, pretty much the entire time I thought about girls. Like, I wasn't thinking about basketball. I was thinking about girls the entire time.
I'm sure you were just dreaming about your future wife. That's all.
Well, she was my neighbor, it turns out. So
even better.
But I wasn't. No, I literally. So it's like I'm out there shooting hoops for an hour and a half. Clearly, looking back on it, I was not maximizing my potential because I was thinking about
not really
girls.
Focused.
No, I wasn't focused at all. And then, and I would lift weights also an hour every day, thinking about girls. Which turns out, if you think about girls when you lift weights, it's very intentional.
That's probably an ergogenic aid.
It is. It's very intentional training. So thinking about girls when you're playing basketball, not beneficial. Thinking about girls when you're lifting weights, very beneficial. However, my training was so dumb in high school. I went 1,000 miles an hour in the wrong direction. Like, I had so much pain in high school, knee pain, back pain, because I did the same 12 exercises every single day, 7 days a week.
Nice.
Did I have a rocking six-pack? You better believe it. Yeah. Did I have pretty good chest muscles? You better believe it.
Yeah. Remember when I had to shave your chest for the EKG test?
Max?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh no, yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. How was it? You still remember it?
Chest looked good. The razor was old and rusty, so we can thank Dr. Cromit for that.
Yeah. So I mean, my training was so stupid. I went 1,000 miles an hour in the wrong direction. So the first thing I would do to people, athletes, tell them to read the sports gene. Train intentionally. You'll be so much better. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So then what I would tell my patients, your body is not failing you. You're failing your body. How many times have I heard someone, oh yeah, need to start hurting. I'm getting old. Getting old sucks. My body's just falling apart on me. No, it's not. That's not how this whole thing works. You're failing your body. And so I think people, patients, again, I tell them it's like, it's not going to resonate with anyone, but people don't understand they need to invest in their body just like they invest in their 401k. They need to spend some money on their body. They need to come to people like you to get movement screens. They'll feel better. They'll perform better. So with patients, I need to tell people that your body doesn't fail you. That's not how life happens. At 33, 34 years old, if you have pain, it's not because your body is failing you. I understand there are some diagnoses that, yes, the natural age process happens.
Yeah.
But the people our age, I hear all the time, oh, dude, I'm old. My body's failing me. I hate that. So what I would tell people is invest in your body. Don't let your body down. You only get one of them. For PTs, the advice I would give, well, actually, as a PT, you should be embarrassed by the patients you treated 3 years ago. If you don't look back on the way you treated patients 3 years ago and be like, I can't believe I used to do that, you're not progressing enough.
Wow, yeah.
I look back at the patients even I had 2.5, 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel sorry for those patients.
Yeah, I would not do that now.
Yeah, I think they need to come to me now. And you know what? I'm going to re-listen to this podcast in 3 years from now, and I'm going to be like, wait, I thought I had it all figured out then. Yep. So as a PT, you always need to be embarrassed by the patients you treated 3 years ago. Not the way you tried to treat them. Yeah, I try my best all the time. Yeah. And I'm always applying what I think is the best evidence-based medicine. Sometimes via Wikipedia. Sometimes not. But I'm just kidding. On that one, guys, not Wikipedia. But I try to apply the best evidence-based medicine. But 3 years later, it's like, I hope I'm so up to date and still current on research that I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
But that also goes with people like if a memory pops up on your Facebook from 8 years ago and you're not slightly embarrassed at it, you're not evolving as a person. All right. Every time I'm not real active on social media, but every time something pops up, a part of me gets embarrassed. Like, I can't believe I used to have friends back then and I was like that. I like to think that I'm evolving as a person continually, that I'm always embarrassed about you know what I mean.
I do. I understand.
You know what I'm talking about.
I get it. No, I feel the same way. Like, when I think about the way that I was training and evaluating 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I'm like, and like you said, I thought I knew all I needed to know back then, but I knew I needed to learn. So I kept learning. But at the time I was like, this is cutting edge. I know what I'm doing. None of these other people know what they're doing. That's why everybody's coming to me. And looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, even if I'm doing the exact same tests, I'm so much more competent now. I can see so much more with the same test now. And no, I totally agree. Like, I don't like looking at some of my Facebook memories because I'm like, oh my gosh, that is awful. What was I thinking? Why would I say that? What face am I making in this picture? I look so dumb.
Yeah, like, if you go back and look at some of my friendships between, like, me and Ryan Short and me and Steve Green, the stuff I post on there, if I ever run for public office, I'm screwed, man. Like, my wife and I were doing that the other day, but we were just, we don't get on social media much at all. Like, personally, we're never on it. But we have to use it for business. But we were looking at stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, if I ever run for public office, I'm screwed, man, because this stuff is gonna come back. So, so that's my advice to physical therapists: be embarrassed, but also people in general. Like, be embarrassed about who you were. Like, try to evolve into a better human being.
That's good advice. That's very good advice. So I thought of another question to ask you, just to throw in here. You sort of already mentioned it, but so if someone needs a physical therapist, how do they go about finding someone who knows what they're doing?
That's a great question.
Who's not just gonna send them over to the assistant, and the assistant's just going to be like, oh, here's these printed off exercises that I just gave to the last person who was in here. Whatever. It's all the same. Throw a band on, do some band exercises, do this, do that. Like, how do you evaluate to find someone who's competent?
So I'll give you some advice this way. So, like, you call me up, Wade. It's you. You're young. Wade, I need to find a good PT for, I don't care what it is. If it's neck pain, back pain, hip pain, knee pain, foot pain, I'm going to say, Kevin, I want you to go to a clinic, and I want you to see if they have a squat rack, if they have a trap bar, if they're doing deadlifts, if they're doing heavy weightlifting in there, okay? Because that's how you're going to get better. And so I will tell people, if they're asking, hey, because, I have family out of state, and they're like, hey, I need to find a good PT. Where do I go? I'm like, well, just go to a clinic. And if they have heavy weights there, it's probably a pretty good clinic. Because, changing people's lumbo-pelvic rhythm is at the epicenter of a lot of things. And so deadlifts, man, I think deadlifts are great. And I have the vast majority of my patients doing deadlifts, whether it's a trap bar deadlift, whether it's a straight leg deadlift, whether it's an elevated deadlift, whether it's a regular deadlift, whether it's a rack pull. So the first thing I would do is I'd tell somebody, okay, you need to go and you need to look at the clinic and you see if they have weights there, because doing 3 sets of 10 with a 1 pound weight ain't going to cut it. And I see so many pink dumbbells in places where I'm just like, dude, get that thing out of here. Good grief. So I want to see some weights. The second thing is you can just ask them, hey, is there anyone there who is certified in dry needling, certified in manual therapy, certified in orthopedics, or something along those lines? Because I think those are really good too. And then if you can mesh the two, that's a beautiful marriage in PT world. So, like, come to me. I'm that person right now. I'll make you do deadlifts, and
that was a beautiful pitch.
Yeah, so I That was a plug, not very subtle. But yeah, so find a PT who, I don't like conservative. I don't think conservative PT is the way to go. Again, I can't remember the last time I handed someone a pink dumbbell. A 1 pound weight ain't gonna get you anything. And then, yes, the manual therapy aspect of it. I'm just going to plug my phone in real quickly. But yeah, the manual therapy aspect of it is very important too, just to calm the tissue down so you can implement the corrective exercises.
Gotcha.
But that's how I would send someone to a PT.
Gotcha. No, I think that is extremely valuable, because if you can't see the PT getting you back to like play, if you're an athlete, or getting back to where you can apply the correct amount of force that you will need to when you're playing a sport, then how are you going to get there? Like, now there's a huge gap where sport speed is like over here and you're just out of pain and you're right here, and there's all of this training and rehab here that gets left out. So I think that is extremely valuable information.
And between that gap you just put there from I didn't see a single pink 1 pound dumbbell in there anywhere.
No, they're just not there.
They're not there. I don't know why they're made.
Yeah. You've got to get their strength back. And then you've got to, like, most of the time with injuries, this is my perspective. Most of the time, what caused the injury was an incorrect movement. So in that gap, I now have to teach them the correct movement, and then I have to load the correct movement, and then I have to progressively overload that movement so that when they're doing those movements on the field, on the court, on the track, whatever the case may be, they're not just out of pain and able to do that, but they're never going to have that issue ever again. Yep. So it's not enough to just, once they're out of pain, throw them under the bar. But at some point you have to, because if they're in a school sport, you better believe that they're going to be going into the weight room, and they're probably not going to have any good training or correcting or coaching in the weight room. So if you're not doing it during the rehab process, when's it going to happen? Right? So
I agree with you.
Alrighty. So what are you learning right now so that in 3 years you're going to be like, I'm glad I learned that, so that I'm not as embarrassed of old Wade?
Oh, man. Well, right now I'm studying to get my OCS, which is an orthopedic certified specialist. Do I think that's going to make me a better PT? No, but it'll give me longer initials behind my name. So
that's always nice.
It'll make me sound like a better PT anyways. So that's what I'm doing. That's what's taking up my time right now. I'm also reading a bunch of books about how to raise a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So nice. that will make me a better PT indirectly, because I won't be losing my mind.
Yeah.
So yes. And then all the podcasts I listen to on applied biomechanics.
Nice.
So
yeah,
those are what I'm into right now.
Any of those you want to plug and share with the rest of us here? So,
like the podcasts?
Yeah.
Okay, so Barbell Shrugged. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. Yep,
okay.
I've heard.
RX Radio. So RX Radio with Jordan Shallow. That PT is that is actually Kairos. That podcast is sweet. Podcast Mike Reinhold, the Mike Reinhold Show. Mm-hmm. I've been on that a couple times.
Nice.
Just submitted questions, and then I listened to Brute Strength. Mm-hmm. I listened to Kubicki Strength, and then I listened to Shaquille O'Neal podcast.
Nice.
But that doesn't have anything to do with it. But that's just that one's my guilty pleasure.
Does that one make you a better PT?
Well, I've been on that one 4 times.
No way.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Well,
so
that says something. That says something about you.
Well, I'm not sure what, but yeah, I have a long drive, so all I do is podcast. So
I hear you.
That's why I'm excited to be on one now.
For sure, man. You're moving up in the world.
Well, something like that.
We'll see how many views this gets, and then
hey, It'll at least have 3: myself, my wife, and my mom.
Yeah, well, count my mom in. So
Yes.
good old Becky.
Yes.
Alrighty. So before we kind of close up here, what is one piece of advice, or what's like a meaningful quote, or any sort of important information that you think is extremely important for anybody listening to hear?
You're never too old to function optimally.
Preach. That's good stuff right there.
Yes, and you can find that on my Facebook page.
So that brings us to the next thing. How can people find you? What's your Instagram?
Well, here's
shamelessly plug everything right now, because that, like, I want everybody else to be able to like read your articles and like know about your business. If people want to find you and come rehab and train with you, like, how do they do that?
Well, so right now I'm the facility manager at Athletic Physical Therapy in Dayton. I thought that I was going to be, yes, I thought I was going to be opening my own place. But my wife and I decided with the current business that we already have, and with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, it's probably not the greatest to try to go out and start my own business right now. So I'm the facility manager at Athletico Physical Therapy in Dayton, Ohio, but I also have a side business called Precision Physiotherapy and Performance. But I've kind of put that on I still treat some patients, but I haven't been trying to grow it as much or has been writing as much because I've been so busy with my other business, my kids, and this new company. But hopefully, Kevin, with Athlete Factors, you can motivate me to start linking up with you guys, and then I can get back onto it. I just
got to do it.
So if people want to reach out to me, Precision Physiotherapy and Performance on Facebook, but I don't have any other social media at this point. I am about to get a YouTube channel for exercises, mainly for my patients for home exercise programs. But again, just the where I'm at, like right now with kids and my other business, like I haven't had a super available schedule to work on social media. So, but they can reach out to me that way.
Alrighty. Well, when it's up, I'll let everybody know.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate this. It was great. You're a fantastic host, as I knew you would be. And then if you ever want to do round 2, let me know.
Oh, we'll definitely do round 2. We will definitely go round 2. All right, Wade, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening, and stick around for the next episode, probably in a couple days or a week or 2. All righty. See you later.
See ya.